Should we get on some Nerd News Network?
Yes, I think we should. Quite a bit this week.
Just even more good news. We're just soaking in the good news this week, horizontal. The Acolyte trailer is here. Oh, it looks so good, man. Do you know what it looks like at first glance from that trailer?
Go on.
It looks tonally like they were inspired by Andor, but story-wise, looks like they're inspired by the mysticism of Ahsoka. And that sounds like a good damn time.
Yeah, well, I mean, High Republic era is... I don't...
Because this is 100 years before the Phantom
So
Menace. Is that considered High Republic?
Yeah, so this is essentially, from what they've mentioned and what people have worked out, this is end of High Republic era. Hence the whole thing, like, in a time of light, darkness is starting to grow. Which puts it roughly about 100 years before Episode 1.
Cool.
Which, the High Republic era was like 500 years long before.
Awesome.
So this is, to put it in, like, for people that don't know much about the High Republic era, because it is, I've looked up stuff because it's relatively new in the grand scheme of Star Wars lore.
Yeah.
And is slowly being explored through books and stuff, which are all canon. And the fans of those books have been loving, which is why people are very excited. But High Republic era is generally considered, it is peace times. Though at this point, probably the Outer Rim planets are like frontier vibe, lots of pirates and bounty hunters and whatnot. But it's peacetime. There isn't any war. As far as all the, obviously the Jedi are like the most powerful group of people at the moment and are seen as these highly important people. As far as they're aware, the Sith were believed to be wiped out, but the Jedi, all like top Jedi Masters and stuff, do know that the Sith rule of 2 existed and obviously are aware that the Sith did exist. They're not just like, oh, we don't know anything about the Sith. But they're considered to like have been wiped out.
So just because this person is evil doesn't mean they're a Sith. I think this is where a lot of confusion stems. The Force exists.
Yes.
And underneath Force users, there are 2 very distinct factions, the Jedi and the Sith. And while everyone has a light or dark side alignment, like Asajj Ventress would be dark side aligned. But by the time we're coming up to in the Bad Batch, she's no longer a Sith. She's just a Force user who is more aligned to the dark side.
Yes, so like, just like the Sith is, at this point, it's now on the point of like, there is a Sith rule of 2. So like, you essentially should only have 2 Sith people who are just extremely powerful, dark-sided Force users. There is one theory, going off what the trailer showed, that there's a line about, it's not about whether it's good or bad, it's like who should be allowed to use the powers or whatever. I can't remember the exact wording of what's said in the trailer. In one of the books for the High Republic, there is like some little cult almost that are like, Jedi, no one should use the power of the Force, like it's not, it's like a thing for the gods and it shouldn't be. So it might even be that that's sort of going on. That there's a group of people being like, the Jedi shouldn't be using the Force. It's a power beyond anyone should be using. And then maybe there is Sith. Like the thought is, we could get to see what essentially is the end. In this series, they may set up or show what is the end of the High Republic era. We might see sort of how it ended, and maybe we get to see how Palpatine came along. Goodbye, Darth Sidious. Or Darth Plagueis.
Are we going to get to see the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Who knows?
What I will say is, something that I've wanted in live action for a long time is finally happening. Wookiee Jedi!
Yes! Did you know, apparently that Wookiee Jedi is a known character, and apparently he's like a Lone Ranger sort of Jedi.
Nice.
But yeah, he is a Wookiee Jedi. There's a few different things with like guy that was teaching the younglings is like elder Jedi master or whatever at the time. The one with the Killmonger haircut that I saw everyone being like, "Oh no, they brought the Killmonger hair. The Killmonger haircut's made it to Star Wars."
Yeah.
Apparently, he is a by the book Jedi.
Okay.
Um, and then obviously we see like a smattering of others.
Well, yeah, a lot of the discussions are like, what other Jedi's do we already know that we might see? So there's a fan theory that we might see Plo Koon because of like the lifespan of his species. He might be a Jedi around this time. Of
There,
course,
yeah.
Yoda might be a Jedi around this
Yoda
time.
is a Jedi master in this time
So there's a real
already.
chance we at least get a reference to him and maybe see him.
I don't know if we'll see him. I would imagine at this period of time he's a lot more active as a Jedi
Yeah.
Master.
It'd be
So
really cool to see him though. A
I think,
young Yoda.
well, he'd already be quite old at this point, I think, but he would maybe at least get mentioned. Someone I saw online mentioned was Hu Yang would be about building lightsabers.
Oh my
That would
god,
be a pretty
yes.
sick one if we got
That'd
to
be
see
really, really cool.
just him with
That'd be
all
really
like
cool.
the younglings in High Republic era
Yeah.
building lightsabers.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be really, really cool to see actually.
I really enjoyed in the trailer how much hand like we're getting like hand to hand combat Jedi's
Mm.
with like we're gonna see like Ezra force hold like he did in Ahsoka, but like what it actually can, how powerful it can be.
Mm.
So I think we're gonna get some very cool like fights here that in a vibe that's a lot more martial arts that we haven't really got to see.
Yeah. And it
Uh,
was also really cool to see some of the Jedi sporting the yellow Sentinel lightsaber
mm,
blades. Because
yes.
we've known that yellow lightsaber blades were a thing for a long time now, but we've not spent enough time where the Jedi Order was like functional to really get to see Sentinels and like their
Mm,
lightsabers. So it was really cool in that one clip in the trailer to see lightsabers ignite, and we've got like an even mix
hmm.
of blue, green, and yellow. That was cool.
Yeah, that
Um,
the vibe of that in the forest gave me big um Old Republic game cinematic vibes where there's just like
for sure.
many, obviously we're not going to get many Sith versus many Jedi, though that would be sick, but I'm excited. I'm very excited for this series.
Yes. Now this is one thing that I saw quite divisive on Twitter, and I'm
Mm.
really curious to see what your take is. So the head writer of the Acolyte has said that they had a member of the writing room who'd never seen Star Wars.
I'm okay with it. If it had been the entire writing room was like, we've never seen Star Wars, then I'd be like, was Dave still at least around to kind of guide this thing? But to have like one or two writers who have never actually watched Star Wars or done like paid attention to it, kind of, and I saw the reasoning was apparently so it's like the head writer wanted some different perspectives so they didn't fall into the trap of, oh, we're all big fans of Star Wars, we get to write a new show. Ooh, they did this thing in the Skywalker trilogy, we should try this in. It's like you could very easily fall into a trap of it just feeling like Skywalker era.
Fanfic, yeah.
Well, even
Um,
just like it's not meant to be the Skywalker era. We're writing they need to write as if it's High Republic era, and that kind of needs new perspective and brought into
I
it.
mean, they also had, I believe, at least one writer on the Andor team who'd never seen Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's kind of there as a checks and balance system, because
Mm.
how often have we heard like anyone who's ever had a job, you'll go, why do we do this way, and they'll go, oh, that's the way it's always been done.
Yeah, because you could
But
have like a
you
writer be
need
like,
someone to question it.
you could have had a writer be like, oh, that in like this is what so and so planet or like this thing, and then they'll just go, I thought we were writing as if it was High Republic era. And that kind of checks people to be like, oh yeah, we need to remember we're not, this isn't a Skywalker era story. Like we need to remember we're
Yeah,
telling a different time of.
there are so many talented writers out there. Like say, as long as it's not the entire room's never seen
Mm,
Star Wars, having one or two writers who you know are good writers who've not seen Star Wars is a good thing. It
mm,
helps you keep it fresh. And no one's saying that you like let them dictate the entire thing, but they will definitely help keep it fresh and stop you again falling into that trap of just writing what can seem almost like fan fiction.
mm. Yeah.
Um, and I'm like, there's been so many fans who are losing their mind, and they're like, "Oh my god, they've never even seen it. They don't care. Why don't they care?" It's like, no, they do care. They care about doing a good job. So trust that they're going to try and write something good, and
Hmm.
then the people in the room who have seen Star Wars will find a way to make sure that makes sense.
Yeah. 100%. I'm just,
Um,
I hope this does turn out as like well as we're all hoping it is, and it's really well received, and it proves that Star Wars can start to move away from Skywalker era
yeah,
because
for
there's
sure.
so many like this High Republic era was such a cool era to talk like to tell stories in. We're getting the film that's going to be the Dawn of Jedi, which is like
Hmm.
way back. So like we're getting closer to a potential high Sith era story.
Yeah, I want it. I want it
Yeah.
so bad. I mean, me and you, when they first announced this project, what, like 2 years ago, whatever it is now,
Mm.
me and you were like, that is giving old school vibes. I'm
Oh
excited. I want it. I need it. It looks great. Um, and I'm so excited that we're nearly there. I can't wait.
yeah, it's going to be so good.
Gen V season 2
Mm.
is rumored to start filming in the next like couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks by the sounds of it.
Yes, very exciting.
We have feasted on so many good shows while we've been doing this podcast,
We have.
and Gen V is right up there as one of my favorites.
Oh, it was great.
So much fun. And the way that we're going to jump to season 4 of The Boys, which will tie in a little bit,
Mm.
and then what the outcome of that is going to affect Gen V season 2
Mhm.
slightly is really cool. And I'm just
Oh yeah,
more.
knowing that season 2 is going to basically be set right after season 4 of The Boys. It's
Yeah,
going to be interesting to see what happened from season 1 ties into the season 4 of The Boys, what we get to see there, how it kind of moves forward, and then where we think season 2 of Gen V is going to go.
exactly.
And I'm so
Um,
down for this like kind of flip flop between Gen V
yeah,
and
I
The
mean,
Boys.
and here's the thing: it might sound like we're just like massive people who's like, "Oh yeah, just keep giving us this shit and we'll watch it." It's like, no, it's really good at the minute, which is why we want more.
Mm.
If it starts getting shit, we'll be like, "Okay, please stop."
Yeah, we'll be like, that's enough,
But
Gen V.
right now, it's really fucking good. So yes, give me more.
Mm, 100%.
Mr. Beast on Twitter reveals
Mm.
more info around his Prime Video show. He's claimed that there will be 1,000 contestants competing for $5 million. When asked why he was working with Prime Video in particular, he said he chose them as they were the only ones who'd let him do what he wanted.
I feel like I predicted correct when we talked about this because when we first saw about this dude, we were trying to work out like what's he gonna do because obviously his videos are very short, fast paced, kind of contained
Well, it's
little
interesting
things.
because he said on Twitter a few weeks back, he's like, I realized the way we were making videos
Mm.
before wasn't actually the best we could do. So I've decided to slow it down a little bit and let the videos breathe a little bit, let stuff happen. And I'm enjoying his videos more now that he's doing that. I don't
Yeah,
feel like
he
it's
he
difficult to watch.
because obviously, let's be real, a lot of the YouTube creator space has been like, holy shit, Mr. Beast is doing so well. He must be doing it right. Let's follow the trend. And then Mr. Beast, obviously, there's a lot of people have been like, what, this is like everyone just does Mr. Beast style now. This is getting a bit kind of boring, cut and dry. And then Mr. Beast is like, yeah, by the way, we're going back to more story focused, longer form, like slowing it down.
Yeah, let
And
it breathe.
we actually think this is how YouTube should be. To which some creators are like, oh my God, he finally said it. Thank God
Yeah.
we can move away from this Mr. Beast style.
I respect Mr. Beast. He's obviously done phenomenal things, and I'm
Mm,
not claiming that I am some genius when it comes to content. I have, however, long said that YouTube videos don't need to be stupidly long, but you've got to let
no.
the thing breathe and let the story develop.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he was really getting to the point where he was so desperate to keep it short that he was cutting some of the heart and soul out of the videos.
Mm,
And now he's just letting that be there, and they are so much more entertaining as a result of it.
Yeah, and so when we first heard this deal, it was before that tweet, and it was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, what is he gonna do with Prime?" And I was like, "What if he just does like essentially his Squid Game thing where he had all those contestants, but he just does like a huge one, and we get to see like week by week, and it's like it's drawn out." And you're like, not sure that's Mr. Beast's style to get his viewers on board. But then it seems like he is literally doing some giant game show essentially.
I'm really curious to see if this is 1,000 contestants for a game show competing for $5 million, or if he's doing like 10 episodes. Each episode has 100 contestants competing for 500,000. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
I,
I
I don't know how it's being structured. Either way will be obviously interesting to watch, but the notion of 1,000 people battling over 10 weeks for $5 million at the end, I think is a lot more, wow, that's crazy and new, than just 10 episodes of 100 people fighting for 500,000.
Do you know what he could do it as? Is like it's 1,000 contestants, but it is 10 groups of 100, and it's like episode what like they're all in the same contest, but they're like grouped.
Got ya.
And then it's like, oh, episode one, we're gonna follow this group, and people then get like, oh, we like these people, and then the next episode it goes to a different group, and then it's like, then halfway through like what however long this season is or this show, it then starts focusing on the whole contest. And everyone by that point is like, okay, we like that person in that group and we want them to win, but we don't like. And then that gets people hooked because you need to, for that, you need people like with this, what happened with Squid Game, even though that was a like fiction thing, it was like people got attached to certain characters.
It's what you have for a game show to work over multiple episodes with the same contestants. You need to make the viewers care about someone,
Mm,
or even if that's like in a negative way of like anyone but that person. I just don't want that person to win. You
yeah.
need to have some kind of feeling about about a contestant to make the show a success. And I do think him understanding like the fault in his YouTube videos in that sense has probably come from this process,
Mm,
and working with them a little bit, he's kind of realized and he's gone, oh shit, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
So I'm actually more excited for his show now that we have a bit more information, but now that we also know he's
Mm,
grown a little bit and he understands letting stuff breathe a little. I'm
yeah.
actually more excited for this show, and I'll be curious to see it when it comes out.
Yeah. I'll be intrigued to see as he releases a bit more details on it as well.
Yes. Um, on a podcast with one of the producers for X-Men 97 and a staff writer at Marvel, I believe,
Oh,
um, they announced that a Nova project is in early works.
oh,
So
interesting.
Nova is a superhero that I know very, very little about,
Mm.
but essentially he is like the last of the Nova Corps,
Okay.
which people will remember from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Um, so now that we know Xandar got destroyed as a result of
Mm.
Infinity War,
Yes.
there is a real chance that like this makes a lot of sense, and he is the last of the Nova Corps again, and
Yeah.
he has like he's slightly different because he does have some kind of like cosmic energy based powers, but
Okay.
he was also part of the Nova Corps. Um, so it'd be interesting to see how that goes and how that ties into the wider. Obviously, it's very early in the MCU. We've not even been told that it's 100% happening. They might just be
Yeah.
doing treatments for a script to work out if it's worth doing,
Could be on
but
the
definitely worth to
whiteboard
keep an
sort of
eye on.
thing.
Exactly that. I imagine there have been Kevin Feige going, we are interested in potentially doing a film around these characters.
Hmm.
Get some scripts in, and we'll see if there's anything here.
It
Um,
also with Marvel Spotlight, and then they're going to be like, we need a few things to get going to get this off the ground. What characters could we potentially do Marvel Spotlight stuff on?
and also with the Marvel animation branding being a thing now,
Mm.
maybe it's
Yeah.
something for that. Maybe they're just
True.
like, hey, this guy has got a lot of animation abilities here, like
Yeah, that's true.
very animationable character. Why don't we see if it's worth doing an animated show for him?
Also a good point.
I don't think they would have created the Marvel. animation branding unless they were ready to get back into the cartoon space properly.
Mm, yeah,
And the quality of X-Men 97 actually makes me really excited for that.
yeah, that's a good point.
Another big bit of news, which is going to be scary, but for now it's just exciting. A live-action Teen Titans movie is being worked on for the DCU, the Hollywood Reporter reports. It's really cool. The Teen Titans are sick. I love late teenager, early 20s superhero teams because you can have a lot of fun with the superhero side, the immaturity side, the inherent sexual tension between the characters.
Yeah,
Like it works. It has a lot going on.
yeah,
The big problem is Teen Titans fans are some of the weirdest in the DCU fandom or DC fandom, sorry. And once this film gets closer to like any kind of castings
mm,
and plot reveals and costume reveals and the film coming out, there is going to be so much toxicity and infighting around it. It's going to be horrific.
yeah. To be
So
honest,
I
I
almost
think
need them to do this almost completely in secret and then just go, in 3 weeks, the film's coming out, here's a trailer, and then just wait.
I mean, and also we need James Gunn to be like, kind of hit the ground running with DCU, that all the DC fans are like, huh, he knows what he's doing, and kind of gain a bit of a base level, like, okay, he's put out a few things now. We like James Gunn's DCU.
Yeah, but I just, I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of a rose tinted glasses kind of person. I get excited when we get film announcements for stuff we haven't really had before. We've never
Yeah,
had a live action Teen Titans film. That's exciting. We've never had any real Nova project. That's exciting. These characters that would never have been given a chance normally
mm,
have got a chance to potentially be a big part of someone falling in love with superhero media.
yeah,
And it's great. And in a world where they seem to be like more worried and they want more bankers, like a Superman and a Batman and a Spider
mm,
Man, I wish they'd take more risks on your Guardians of the Galaxies.
yeah. And I mean, James Gunn has been known to do that, so
Exactly. And honestly, with the MCU or Bob Iger
mm,
claiming that they want to go for a bit more
play safe.
reliable
Mm.
projects, I think it'd be really, really cool to see James Gunn on the flip side go fuck it, green light anything out there.
Like, oh, Marvel's gonna keep it cut and dry and pretty boring for a bit. We can go a bit wild, and we'll get
Yeah,
all the
what is the
proper
weirdest
comic
team we can put
fans.
together? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The Boys season 4 is rumored to only have 25 VFX shots left away from being finished.
I mean, that in the grand scheme of things, probably not many left. Still, that's a lot of work to do because
Yeah.
25 VFX shots is still a
I
sizable
imagine over the
chunk.
course of the entire show, though, they probably have
Oh,
100 plus.
oh, they'll have. I mean, a VFX shot is as simple as like comping in a bit of footage. So it's like there'll
So,
be thousands probably of VFX shots in the boys.
so yeah, a lot of work to go, and shout out to the goats who are working on that. But
Hmm.
it's so exciting how close this show's getting. It's so nice that you're excited with me.
Yes, I get to watch it live this
Yeah,
time.
it's gonna be fucking class. I'm so excited.